I prize thy love more than whole minds of gold, or all the riches that the east doth hold. My love is such that rivers cannot quench, nor aught but love from thee give recompense.
To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. In the quiet town of Maycomb, Alabama, during the hard Great Depression, a young girl named Jean Louise Finch, known to everyone as Scout, lived with her older brother, Jeremy, called Jem, and their father, Atticus Finch. Their mother had died when Scout was 2, leaving Atticus to raise the children with the help of Calpurnia, their stern but loving black housekeeper. Atticus was a respected lawyer, a man of quiet integrity who believed in fairness and taught his children to see the world through empathy. Scout was 6 when the story began, a tomboy who preferred overalls to dresses and spent her days running wild with Jem. Their summers were filled with adventure, especially when Dill Harris arrived each year to stay with his aunt, Miss Rachel Haverford, across the street. Dill was small for his age but big with imagination, and he quickly became the leader of their games. One summer, he challenged them with a dare that would shape their childhood: to make Boo Radley come out of his house. Boo Radley, whose real name was Arthur, was a mysterious figure who had not been seen outside his home in years. The Radley place was a shadowy, shuttered house on their block, and neighborhood legend painted Boo as a monstrous recluse who had once stabbed his father with scissors and was kept locked away by his brother, Nathan Radley. The children feared yet were fascinated by him. They invented stories about Boo, acted out his supposed life in their games, and crept closer to the house than any sensible child should. One night, they sneaked onto the Radley property, hoping to glimpse Boo through a window. A shotgun blast rang out, Nathan Radley firing at what he thought were intruders. The children fled, but Jem's pants caught on the fence. He left them behind and later returned alone in the dark to retrieve them. When he did, he found the pants mended and folded, as if someone had been waiting for him. Throughout those early years, small gifts began appearing in a knothole of an old oak tree on the Radley property. Chewing gum, a pocket watch, carved soap figures resembling the children themselves, and other trinkets. Scout and Jem realized someone, surely Boo, was leaving them presents. But when they tried to leave a thank you note, Nathan cemented the knothole shut, claiming the tree was dying. Jem wept quietly at the loss. Scout started school and clashed immediately with her first-grade teacher, Miss Caroline Fisher, who scolded her for already knowing how to read and for explaining the ways of the Cunninghams, a poor farming family. Walter Cunningham, a classmate, came to lunch at the Finches one day after Scout fought him for getting her in trouble. When Scout insulted Walter's table manners, Calpurnia corrected her sharply, teaching her about respecting others' circumstances. Atticus explained to Scout that you never truly understand a person until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Atticus was patient and wise, rarely raising his voice. When Jem and Scout received air rifles for Christmas, he refused to teach them to shoot, saying they could practice if they wanted, but that he had no interest in guns. He told them it was a sin to kill a mockingbird, because mockingbirds did nothing but make music for others' enjoyment. Miss Maudie Atkinson, their kind neighbor, echoed this, explaining that mockingbirds were innocent creatures. As Scout grew, she began to notice the town's divisions. There were the respectable families, the poor but proud farmers like the Cunninghams, and then the Ewells, who lived in squalor near the dump and attended school only on the first day to satisfy the law. Bob Ewell was a bitter, drunken man who neglected his many children, especially his eldest daughter, Mayla. One winter, snow fell, a rare event in Maycomb, and Jem built a snowman that resembled their neighbor, Mr. Avery. But the children soon faced a more serious danger. Miss Maudie's house caught fire, and in the chaos, someone placed a blanket around Scout's shoulders to keep her warm. Later, Atticus revealed it was Boo Radley who had done it. The children began to see Boo not as a monster, but as a quiet, watchful presence. Atticus accepted a difficult case that year. The court appointed him to defend Tom Robinson, a black man in his 20s who worked for Mr. Link Diaz. Tom was accused of raping Mayla Ewell. The accusation had come from Bob Ewell, who claimed to have caught Tom assaulting his daughter. In Maycomb's segregated society, a black man's word against a white person's was worthless, and many townspeople were outraged that Atticus would defend Tom earnestly rather than simply going through the motions. Scout and Jem heard whispers at school and endured taunts. Frances, their cousin, called Atticus a slur, leading Scout to fight him at Christmas. Uncle Jack spanked her, but Atticus later explained the deeper meaning. Atticus told the children he could not hold his head up in town if he did not take the case, as it went against everything he believed in. He asked them to hold their heads high and not fight over what others said. As the trial approached, tensions rose. A mob gathered outside the jail one night to lynch Tom. Atticus sat on the porch with only a light bulb, reading. Scout, Jem, and Dill had sneaked downtown and found him there. Scout recognized Mr. Cunningham in the crowd and spoke to him about his son Walter, reminding him of their shared connection. The simple, childlike words shamed the men into leaving. The trial itself was held in the old courthouse. The black community sat in the balcony, and Reverend Sykes allowed the children to join them. Atticus presented a clear case. Tom had no use of his left arm, crippled from a childhood accident, while Mayella's bruises suggested a left-handed attacker. Mayella testified that Tom had beaten and raped her, but her story faltered under cross-examination. Tom took the stand and explained that Mayella had invited him inside to help with chores, then tried to kiss him. When Bob Ewell appeared, Tom fled in fear. Atticus showed that Bob was left-handed and likely the one who struck Mayella. Despite the evidence, the all-white jury convicted Tom. Reverend Sykes told Jem not to cry, that there was hope yet, but Jem was devastated. Atticus remained calm, though disappointed. Tom was sent to prison and later shot 17 times while attempting to escape, a desperate act born of hopelessness. Atticus called it the senseless slaughter of an innocent. Bob Ewell, humiliated by Atticus's exposure of his lies, spat in Atticus's face and threatened revenge. On Halloween night, Scout and Jem walked home from a pageant where Scout had performed as a ham. In the dark, Bob Ewell attacked him with a knife. Jem's arm was broken in the struggle, and Scout, trapped in her costume, heard the scuffle. Then a man appeared, carried Jem home, and left. At home, Heck Tate, the sheriff, revealed that Bob Ewell had been found dead under a tree with a kitchen knife in his ribs. Tate insisted it was an accident. Ewell had fallen on his own knife. But Scout saw the truth when the man who saved him stood in the corner. It was Boo Radley, pale and shy. Atticus at first thought Jem had killed Ewell in self-defense, but Tate explained he would report it as an accident to protect the innocent man who had finally stepped out to help. Atticus agreed, understanding that to drag Boo into the spotlight would be like shooting a mockingbird. Scout walked Boo home that night, standing on his porch and seeing the world from his view for the first time. She realized how much he had watched over them, leaving gifts, covering her with a blanket, and ultimately saving their lives. As she returned home, Scout climbed into bed beside Atticus. He read to her from a book about a boy falsely accused, and she fell asleep feeling safe, knowing that most people were good when you finally saw them clearly. The events of those years had taken Scout from a child's innocence to a deeper understanding of courage, compassion, and the quiet sin of destroying the harmless.
I prize thy